All right, we got another e-bike here, and this is from YADEA. This is the Trooper. Comes in a pretty big box, a little bit bigger than usual, and a little bit different sort of packing. You have these little clips here that hold the box together. There's 3 on top, 3 in the back, and 3 in the front. So looks like one of those methods where they ship TV. The box is a little bit beat up, but we'll go ahead and take it out of the box here, see what it looks like. Hopefully it isn't too bad. I have a feeling that this one is going to require less assembly, so let's see what it does. Yeah, so pretty much as I expected, the front wheel is already installed. It just looks like the only thing to install is the handlebar, and everything else is just wrapped in some protection, some foam. But I think this is why the box was a little bit beat up, because it had a little bit of foam to protect the bike, but it's as you can see, it's mostly assembled already. So just going to put the handlebar on. It's just going to be these 4 screws right here, and then we'll take a look at it. All right, so just a quick look at, I got most of the foam off there except for the handlebars. And it's just going to be attaching right there. And the front wheel, the fender, the headlight, all already attached. I took the battery off. It came with some keys. And there are the keys right there. So the battery, say 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery. And charger is 54.6 volts, 3 amps. And here's the rest of the stuff that comes in the box to get the pedals and a few tools and the user manual. So yeah, should be a really easy build. All right, so I got the handlebar attached, and the angle's a little further back because the seat's kind of far back and I don't want to lean forward too much. I got the angle set to the way I like it, but then I noticed that these little green and red connectors were not connected, but it's pretty easy. Just red to red, green to green, and I already have them kind of lined up. So I think that's pretty much it for the assembly. All right, so yeah, that's pretty much it for the assembly. Let's take a quick look at the bike. I took the battery off with the key, of course. It's charging over there on the right. And I think in terms of the aesthetics, interesting compartment here. This is like I don't know, like a basket. You can put stuff in here. It's plastic. It's kind of eating up that negative space here in the frame. It's an aluminum alloy frame. Everything again came pre-assembled, even the fenders, front and rear, kickstand as well. On the back here, we got a 750 watt rear hub motor. Got some hydraulic disc brakes, Tektro, and I think these are 160 millimeter rotors. And yeah, it said hydraulic disc brakes, front and rear. Here are the ones in the front. And interestingly, this is the first I've seen, is this style of front fork suspension. It's inverted. So I guess that silver part is on the bottom. It's usually up on top. And they have these little guards here in the front for protecting that against like rocks and stuff. So interesting that they inverted it. It's the first time I've seen that. We've got a single rear spring here for rear suspension, and then a bench style seat. And I did sit on it briefly. Sitting on the back is a little bit more comfortable than the front, but I'll talk more about that when I'm riding around. 20 by 4 inch fat tires, of course, knobby wheels, and these are made by CST. Got a rear reflector here and also a rear brake light. And another unique thing about this one is that there are no gears, so no shifter or anything like that. It's a single speed, and I guess, for the most part, you're going to be using the throttle on this one. So in terms of the range, 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery. They're saying about 53 miles on pedal and about 25 on throttle only. And the bike weighs 73 pounds. So yeah, let's go ahead and get on the bike and give it a ride. So this bike comes with 3 levels of pedal assist: eco, mid, and high. And the eco speed maxes out around 7 miles an hour, 8 miles an hour. The mid level is around 13 to 14 miles an hour, and then the high level goes to around 19 miles an hour. this bike doesn't have any gears, so if you try and get the bike going just on pedaling, it's a little bit tough because the bike is, 73 pounds. So what I would recommend is, if you want to pedal the bike, is actually use the throttle. And this one has a thumb throttle, by the way, if I didn't mention that earlier. So give it a little throttle to get the bike going, and then you can start. It'll be easier to pedal at that point, especially if you want to be on the slower speeds, like as I say, most people probably would want to ride this around the mid-level, around 13, 14 miles an hour. And the way the cadence sensor is set up on this one, you're not really freewheeling that much. When you're on the high level, you're pretty much freewheeling because there are, again, no gears on this bike. So as you probably have noticed here, with my height here at I'm about 6 feet tall, it's a bit awkward pedaling on this bike because the height range is actually more favorable for people that are a shorter side. So if you're, they're saying that the height range is from 5'1" to 6'4". Yeah, if you're 6'4", you can pedal, but it's quite awkward. Even at my height, at 6 foot, it's quite awkward because you're sitting further back on the seat and you're leaned over to the handlebars, so your knees are coming up to your chest because this is a shorter bike in general. So I guess if you're a shorter rider, this is going to be a fantastic bike for you because you'll be able to pedal and also do throttle and get your feet on the ground. Yeah, so I would say this is probably optimal for someone maybe like 5'9", 5'8", and obviously if you're taller and shorter, your mileage may vary. So for me, my preference for this bike is to basically just use the throttle. Unfortunately, the throttle there's no speed control based on the pedal assist level. So if you give it throttle, it gives you the full speed and it'll accelerate all the way up to 19.8 miles per hour. And if you try and just give it a little bit of throttle, it's basically an on or off situation. So it doesn't seem to give you any power until you hit a certain point, and then it gives you all the power. So that is a bit of a downside on this particular model. I wish it had a sort of proportional throttle where you can give it a little bit of throttle and get say half the speed. That would have been nice. And then as far as I could tell, there's no cruise control on this one either, which would have been nice. Sometimes if you leave the throttle on for say like 10 seconds, and the cruise control will kick in, and then you can let go of the throttle and it'll maintain whatever speed it's set to. So as I mentioned before, the range estimates are variable based on whether you pedal or whether you just use throttle. And since I'm primarily going to be using this on throttle, my range is going to be about 25 miles on just throttle only. But if you happen to be on the slower speeds on pedal assist, like mid or low, you could probably get 55, maybe 60 miles maximum range on this one. Obviously, it's going to matter also what kind of terrain you're riding it on. So if you're riding it on the hills of San Francisco, you're probably going to get quite a bit less range versus a completely flat surface. So overall, the bike is built extremely well. It's there's almost no rattles anywhere. The front fork suspension and the sort of the mid spring suspension below the seat gives it a really solid ride. It's nice and smooth. The suspension is tuned really well on this bike. It's not bouncy. It just gives you just enough of basically some cushioning from the road bumps where you don't feel it even at higher speeds. This one is tuned really well out of the box. The brakes are, of course, tuned really well out of the box because the wheels in the front, especially the front wheel, already installed out of the box. So there's no adjustments neither. So there's no weird brake noise or squeaking. And the hydraulic brakes work really well on this one. From full speed to stopping it's not that much, like 20 feet. So it's pretty, the hydraulic brakes on this one work really well. And if you're worried about the bike stopping and needing to stop really quickly, you'll be able to do that with this one. Anyway, overall, a fantastic bike. I think it's a nice build, high quality, rides really nice. I think I would have preferred a different setup in terms of for my height. I think it's a little bit on the shorter side, so probably not the best for me. But maybe if you're a shorter rider, 5'9", 5'8", you're gonna probably really enjoy the ergonomics of this bike, especially if you're looking for this sort of motorcycle style bike. This is going to be really right up your alley. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. I really appreciate that. And also, if you want to see more videos like this in the future, consider hitting the subscribe button and you get more videos on future e-bike reviews. There'll be a link down in the video description to the bike if you want to check it out. That'll do it for this video. Talk to you guys in the next one.